I thought the fourth mirror was just old glass, until the night my reflection stepped closer, while I stood perfectly still. The man in the antique shop told me not to look into the fourth mirror. He said it like a joke he'd told too many times. Light voice, heavy eyes. "First three are fine," he said. "Fourth one you keep covered, especially at night." The shop smelled of dust and old fabric. Rain ticked on the glass. 4 tall mirrors leaned along the back wall, shoulder to shoulder, like people pressed together in a lift. All brass frames, all the same height. Only the last one was darker, the metal gone almost brown at the corners, like it had been touched more than the others. I tried to smile. "Is it cracked?" I asked. "Worse," he said. "Honest." He didn't explain. He just watched me the way people watch someone about to step off a curb. I'd only gone in to get out of the rain. I'd only stayed because the shop felt like a held breath. Lamps and clocks and old photographs, all waiting for someone to remember them. I shouldn't have asked about the mirrors, but my new flat was all blank white walls and echo. I wanted something with weight. "How much for the set?" I said. He named a price that was too low. Too low for 4 antique mirrors, even spotted and dull ones. When I hesitated, he added, "I'll help you carry them to the car. But you listen to me about that fourth. You don't stand in front of it with the lights off, and you don't go looking for yourself in it when you're low." "Why?" "Because it looks back," he said. "Properly." He said it flat, like a fact. I laughed because that was easier, because if I didn't, I'd have to admit the skin on my arms had tightened. He wrapped the mirrors in blankets and plastic. On the backs of the first 3, he chalked neat numbers, 1, 2, 3. On the fourth, he drew a small white cross. His hand paused there, thumb pressed to the wood. "People don't listen," he muttered, mostly to himself. Outside, the street was slick and reflective. When we loaded the mirrors, my face slid across the layers of glass, pale, stretched, breaking into 4, then 8, then gone. On the drive home, the wipers beat a slow rhythm. "Don't look into the fourth mirror. Keep it covered, especially at night." I told myself he was just making it interesting. Antique sellers love stories more than furniture. I told myself that. I didn't believe it. The hallway in my new flat is too long for the space. That's what the estate agent said. Too long, but it gives character. It runs from the front door past the living room and bedroom to the bathroom at the end. Low ceiling, narrow boards, walls that feel closer at night. Perfect for mirrors. I unwrapped them on the living room floor. The first 3 were what I expected. Old brass, a little tarnished, glass with the gentle waviness of age. When I stood in front of the first, it gave me the usual, my own face, pale from the weather and the move. Hair scraped back, eyes a little sore from too much screen, too many late nights pretending to wind down. I hung the first opposite the living room door, the second near the bedroom, the third just outside the bathroom. They doubled the space, pulled light deeper into the flat. Every time I walked down the hall, some part of me moved ahead in the glass. The fourth mirror stayed on the floor, wrapped. I told myself I'd put it in a cupboard, or leave it in the spare corner of the bedroom, or, if I was sensible, take it back. By evening, the flat had adjusted around the new reflections. Yellow light from the fittings stretched and folded down the hallway. I passed my own face a dozen times. Each time, the glass gave me exactly what I expected. The fourth mirror sat in the living room like a body under a sheet. At 9, the rain stopped. The streetlights came on. Light seeped in through the thin blinds, weak, orange, tired. It caught the edge of the blanket. I tried to ignore it. Turned the TV on, scrolled, pretended I was somewhere else. By 9:30, I was standing over the mirror with my hands on the cloth. "This is stupid," I said to the empty room. "It's just glass." I dragged the blanket off. The fourth mirror was cleaner than the others. No clouding at the edges, no warping. The glass was flat and cold and deep. The frame a darker brass, almost black in the grooves. When I stepped in front of it, my reflection stepped too. Same hair, same tired eyes, same old jumper with the stretched cuffs. I breathed out. "See," I said to myself, to the room, to him for making me nervous. The woman in the mirror mouthed the word a fraction too late. I froze. It was small, a slip, a beat. My lips formed the shape, and hers followed like a delayed video call. I raised my hand slowly. She lifted hers as well, but there was a drag, as if she'd had to notice my movement, then copy it instead of sharing it. Our palms met at the glass. Cold bled through my skin. My heart thumped once, hard. I'm tired, I told myself. You moved twice. Your eyes are playing tricks. The living room light hummed overhead. In the hall, the first 3 mirrors waited, obedient and dull. I should have turned away, covered it again, pushed it behind the wardrobe and forgotten it. Instead, I tested it. I took my hand away. She let hers fall a moment later. I blinked once, deliberately. She blinked after. My throat went dry. Okay, I whispered. Okay, enough. I reached for the light switch. For a second, as my fingers found it, I saw us both in the mirror. Me here, hand stretched towards the wall. Her a step closer to the glass, as if that tiny lag had given her room to move. Then the lights went out. Dark swallowed the room, leaving only the sodium glow from the street. In the mirror, the room stayed bright. I saw everything, the sofa, the coffee table, the pale blur of my own face. And behind my reflection, in the doorway to the hall, something else. A shape in the threshold. No detail, just darker than the dark around it. My chest seized. I hit the switch again. The light snapped back. The reflection jumped to match. No shape, no brightness that shouldn't be there. Just a room, a mirror, and me. I yanked the blanket over the glass with shaking hands. The fabric slid down with a soft final sound. That night, I dreamed of walking down an endless corridor lined with mirrors. In each one, I was a step ahead of myself, not looking back. For a while, I pretended nothing was wrong. The 4th mirror stayed covered. The first 3 became part of my commute between rooms. In the morning, the first caught me with my coffee, hair dragged into a knot, dressing gown gaping just enough to annoy me. The second saw me shrug into my coat. The third watched me brush my teeth with my phone propped by the tap. During the day, it was easy to believe the lag had been nothing, an illusion, a tired brain. At night, the hallway felt longer. On Tuesday, I woke at 3:12 a.m. with the clear sense that someone had just walked past my bedroom door. No footsteps, just a displacement in the air. That strange, quiet pressure of a body moving nearby. I lay still, listened. The flat murmured its usual noises. The fridge cycling, the neighbor's pipes, the distant thud of a taxi door in the street. Then, very faintly, a soft tap. Not a knock, not wood, glass. I slid out of bed and opened the door. The hallway stretched away, lit by the little lamp I'd started leaving on overnight. The light threw a pale stripe down the boards. The first 3 mirrors stood where I'd placed them, black rectangles with soft frames of gold. I stepped into the hall. In the first mirror, I saw myself in the bedroom doorway. In the second, smaller, further away. In the third, tiny and pale, just outside the bathroom. Everything lined up. I let out a breath. Then I looked back at the first. My reflection was already standing in the middle of the hall. I was still at the bedroom door. We stared at each other. My throat closed. As I watched, she shifted, only slightly, weight going onto one foot, head tilting, as if listening to something I couldn't hear. I took a step forward, heart hammering. The moment my bare foot hit the board, she snapped back into place, suddenly mirroring me again, arm on the doorframe, head at my angle. The air felt thin. I turned all the lights on, bathroom, living room, kitchen. Every switch became a lifeline. By the time the flat was bright and sharp, the mirrors looked harmless again, flat panes, ordinary reflections. I went back to bed and lay rigid until morning. Sleep didn't come, only a slow parade of thoughts, each worse than the last. By Thursday, I was watching every reflective surface, shop windows, bus doors, the lift at work. I checked them all the way people check alarms before leaving the house. Step close, look quick, make sure the person looking back moves when you do. Everything out there behaved. It was only home that didn't. After work, I stood opposite the shop where I'd bought the mirrors across the road, rain needling down between us. The lights were on. The old man moved past the window once, carrying something wrapped in paper. I could have gone in. I could have demanded an explanation. Why the lag? Why the warnings? Why sell it at all? Instead, I watched him lock the door at 6, flip the sign, and disappear into the back. I walked home alone. The flat was dark when I opened the door. I'd stopped leaving the hall lamp on during the day. When I flicked the switch, the light spilled down the corridor, catching the rims of the mirrors, turning them into thin sheets of fire. I put my keys in the bowl, kicked my shoes off. Something felt off, not loud, not dramatic, just wrong in the way a picture looks when it's hanging half a degree to one side. I looked into the first mirror. My reflection looked back, coat still on, hair damp from the rain. Normal. Then I glanced down. In the glass, my boots were touching the skirting board. In reality, I could see a strip of floor between my toes and the wall. Only an inch. Something no one else would have noticed. But my stomach turned. I didn't move. Didn't blink. In the mirror, my reflection took a half step forward, closing the distance I hadn't traveled. Then she lifted her head and smiled at me. I hadn't smiled. My lips followed a second later, dragged into the same expression. It felt like someone else was operating the muscles. I stumbled back. The second mirror caught me. In that one, my reflection matched perfectly. Same distance, same flinch, same hand clamped over my mouth. The third was the same. Only the first showed that too close version. That eagerness. My coat felt suddenly too tight. The hallway too small. I went to the living room. The fourth mirror's blanket wasn't straight. It had slipped on one side, the edge drooping low enough to reveal a wedge of glass near the top corner. A thin triangle of exposed reflection. My heart thudded. I crossed the room and grabbed the fabric, ready to yank it back into place. I saw my hand in the glass, and behind it, over my shoulder, something else. Another room, not my living room. Not quite. Same layout, same sofa, same cheap coffee table, different details, different light. It was brighter, cleaner. There were pictures on the wall I'd never bought, plants I'd never kept alive, and me, standing closer to the mirror on that side, looking calmer, better rested. She wasn't copying me. She was waiting. My fingers tightened on the cloth. Her hand was already pressed to the inside of the glass, palm flat, as if she'd been there a while. Up close, her skin looked the way mine used to before the last few years had worn it thin. Her eyes were clearer. Her hair looked like she'd actually taken time with it. She mouthed something. I didn't need to hear it. Please. It was there in the tilt of her chin, the strain at her jaw, the way she pushed her fingers harder into the unseen barrier. "You're me," I whispered. Her expression twitched. Almost a nod. Almost relief. The room on her side looked softer, like all the sharp edges had been sanded down. There was a mug on the coffee table, a throw over the back of the sofa. Somewhere, out of sight, music was playing low enough to feel instead of hear. My room felt cold by comparison, stripped, interim. I should have pulled the blanket up. I should have covered the glass and pushed the mirror into a corner and called someone who knew how to dispose of old things that didn't behave. Instead, I lifted my free hand. Her shoulders loosened when she saw. She matched the movement instantly, palm meeting mine through the glass. It was warm. Not the cold shock from before. Warm, like someone had been standing there long enough to leave heat behind. The contact went deeper than skin. Something shifted in my chest. A small, careful rebalancing. A weight moved from one side of a scale to the other. She stepped closer. I couldn't see her feet, but the line of her shoulders changed, filling more of the frame. The room behind her sharpened, like the mirror had chosen a new focus. I saw a hallway stretching away from the living room, shorter than mine, brighter. 3 mirrors hung along it, each one catching a slice of that better light. In the very last one, smallest from this distance, I glimpsed another version of myself walking past, moving confidently, not checking over her shoulder. The mirror hummed faintly under my hand, a low electric sound, more feeling than noise. My head swam. There is a moment, just before sleep pulls you under, when your whole body jolts, convinced it's falling. This felt like landing, like I'd been falling for years without noticing, and now I'd finally hit something solid. Her mouth moved again. You wanted this. Whether she said it or not, I heard it. More light, more warmth. A life that had started the same way and taken a different turn. I leaned in. The surface of the glass flexed under my skin. Not much, just enough to suggest depth where there should be none. The room around me tilted, my living room and hers overlapping like two misprinted photographs. Then the world pulled tight. I stumbled, caught myself on the coffee table. My coffee table. Or hers. For a second I couldn't tell. Then the difference slid into place. The throw on the sofa wasn't mine. The lamp in the corner wasn't mine. The air smelled faintly of citrus and coffee instead of dust. I straightened slowly. In the mirror, the living room behind my reflection was bare. The sofa sagged the way mine always had. The walls were blank. She stood there, in the darker version of the room, my old room. Her eyes were wide. Her hand was pressed to the inside of the mirror. From my side, the glass was clear. From hers, it must have been a wall. She slapped it, hard. No sound came through. Her mouth was moving fast. Stop. Come back. Change with me again. I lifted a hand on instinct. Habit. All the years of apologizing by default, of making space for others even when no one had asked. Her face lit with hope. Behind her, something dark shifted in the doorway of the hall. A shape that absorbed light instead of blocking it. I froze. Images locked together. The lagging reflections. The brightness at night. The too warm glass. It wasn't just her. The mirror wanted movement, wanted trade. She slammed her palm against the glass again. I picked up the blanket. Her expression broke, hope twisting into panic. She shook her head violently, hands splayed, mouthing words I refused to read. You were me, I whispered. You still are. That's the problem. Her face contorted, a mirror of fear and fury. I let the blanket fall. The fabric dropped over the frame with a heavy final sound. The warmth vanished. The room dulled. My breathing filled the silence. Behind the blanket came the faint, rhythmic tap of her palms. Tap, tap, tap. Soft enough not to wake a neighbor. Sharp enough that I could never unhear it. Life here is better. I won't lie about that. The days feel fuller. The room's less temporary. There are prints on the walls. Plants that somehow stay alive. Friends who actually show up. My face in the first 3 mirrors looks like someone who belongs in her own life. The hallway is shorter, brighter, not a tunnel anymore. When I walk it, my reflections move exactly when I do. No lag, no lead. Sometimes I pause at the second mirror just to breathe and watch myself move in real time. It feels like proof. I sleep with the hall light on, not because I'm afraid, because of the bedroom, because of what waits behind the wardrobe. I shoved the 4th mirror there on my first day, told myself I'd get rid of it properly, call someone, return it. I haven't. Most nights, the tapping is faint. Sometimes it stops. Those nights are the worst. Silence means possibility. Silence means movement. I lie there in the dark, waiting for the glass to warm again. Because it will. It always does. People don't listen. Someone else will pull the blanket down. They'll see a better room, a better life, a version of themselves who moved first. And when they reach toward the glass, they won't just be looking into the 4th mirror. They'll be looking at me.